Today we are here to introduce our new workshop, and the workshop is about new age children and the parents of new age children. The workshop will be at the end of January 28th.
Yes.
And you're most welcome to join.
I'm sure that in this short podcast we're going to tap on a lot of issues that trouble loads of new age parents, and if only we stay tuned to find out how the parent nowadays finds their center and is not torn between different theories and their own instinct and their own style of parenting. Mm-hmm. So ideally, there is that idea of having to set limits without setting limitations to the spirit or the brain of the child. But I find that a lot of parents are intimidated by that. They end up being
towing around their kids.
Exactly, to avoid outbursts. And then they're avoiding outbursts which they internally swallow because they're angry at their own self for not managing to say, open your mouth, we're brushing the teeth. Instead, they're just like, so what did you do today? And underneath is that, let's get through this task before a tantrum comes. And that's not normal. No. And then you explode and have an outburst as a parent at the wrong time. And it's out of scale and out of proportion, and it's unfair on the child. And then guilt comes up, and again, that vicious cycle we referred to before.
Yeah. But when you look back on what you say right now, is that you don't control the situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you avoid the tantrum.
Yes.
You avoid actually like the outburst. So it means already like you show to the child, I can't control you.
Yes.
And of course, the child does what it does at that time. They try the limits.
Yes, most parents, it's almost like they daily try to convince the child that they're in charge. And the child has this attitude of, I'm not convinced that you're in charge.
Yeah, because actually like you show that. It's like you have this Chucky doll and Chucky knows exactly that you're afraid of him.
But why? Why did new age parents end up in that position?
Because actually their sensitivity has been more there. Yeah. So they have this kind of idea that they should act in a different way and a more kind way and a more...
And allow room and
space and freedom. And that's nice when a child can actually like control that for himself later on. But the first 12 years, actually, we need actually to be that guidance. And the guidance means yes is yes and no is no.
So would you say that after the 12 years, the approach that we have today with toddlers or young kids would work better with a 12-year-old?
Yeah, when a child have like borders, limitations, the child is safe there. So it can also develop himself much better there than when you actually are plunged in an ocean and you may do everything. Yeah, so it gives actually more opportunities to develop and to explore the world in a more safe way.
And how do we link that to the idea of everything we focus on gets fueled, so don't initiate it, just ignore, you know, the good ignoring attitude? How do we...
But I don't say like that you don't stimulate that child or that you don't give it any freedom, but always actually like in a way that the child actually can overlook it and control it. Yeah, when you say like you have to go to bed and you expect the child to obey, yeah, child is not obeying because the child wants to know, what can I do with this? Yeah, so they
with
find
this
the first time they find like, okay, when I say no, everybody has a problem. Mm-hmm. So let's try to do that again.
Yeah,
yeah. I stay up longer. I maybe get a yes.
Get some more screen time, get some hugs time, squeeze into their bed.
Yeah, so when that happened constantly, the child knows already they don't actually follow up with what they say. Mm-hmm. And that is in all kinds of areas in the same way.
So it's what they say, don't let your no ever become a yes, otherwise you lose credibility.
Yeah.
But that's hard because parents are tired and they will often cave because it's like, just have it.
But then that caving is actually tomorrow even worse because the child knows that you will give in. So you create a bigger problem.
But then how do you balance your tiredness with that sticking to your authority and the line and instruction you chose.
Not going to that point that you are exhausted and can't follow your own rules anymore. So when you say like, my children needs to be in bed at 7 o'clock because it gives me a couple of hours in the evening to rest and to be a good parent again tomorrow, they go to bed at 7 and not at 9. Lots of people sit up with their children because the child is not sleeping early. No, you actually have to have a rhythm in the house that it goes to bed at 7. Yeah, because that you as a parent also needs your own time. Your needs are also important.
Whereas we often justify the decision. Why do you need to go down, Mom? Because I need to rest. Why do you need to rest? Because. These discussions, these justifications.
But it means that when she has said that to you, that she is not resting and you go to rest. Yeah, so she is becoming actually like more alert than you, more controlling than you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now she goes to bed because you maybe follow in an hour or in 2 hours or in 3 hours, but she goes first to bed because you have to keep an eye on her till she sleeps. So, and that is like being consistent about things. And when you don't do that, it has consequences. So when a child doesn't listen, it has consequences. Because we can be very nice to our children, very nice, very loving, when we feel also in that way that we are calm and loving.
Yes. How do we avoid the confusion that comes with all this old school, new school, social media, just listening to many things and then following your instinct all just becomes a funny cocktail in the house? How do you always, whether a reel comes from Instagram in front of you or a book or an article or a word of advice, and then you marry that with your instinct, how do you follow what's right? How do you distinguish?
You have to follow your own heart, your own peace of mind, not what other people say. When you have the best intention with your child, you have to realize my child is unique, I am unique. And whatever other people say says something about them and how they see things. But it's about you, how you see things with your child. When you want to have a happy relationship with your children, first actually turn to yourself. What makes me happy? Because actually when I can be happy with the whole world. When I'm not happy, it doesn't happen also with the rest of the world.
And as we said, because they're more sensitive, they can feel that.
Yeah. So therefore they read also your feelings. And when you think like, oh, I can kill you, that child takes it at that time serious and think like, whoa. Or a child can be very upset, and then acts in a very strange way. Or it can be very angry, fighting you. And then whatever you say that is a lie, they know exactly. A child reads you. So like when we tell the white lies of Santa Claus, yes. Then you do that with a smile because of course it's like a kind of game that you play with them. But then it's a game. Then you bring that differently. But when you say one day you may do that and the next day it's not allowed, or you forget about your promises, children also know that. They know exactly if you are liable or not.
So if we are discussing the merging of the old style parenting with the new style parenting, what would you say is the silver line to keep from the old school style and the good thing to maintain from the new age parenting and then to merge together these two?
I don't want to say like one or the other is better. It's all done out of like a kind of awareness at that time. When you don't know better, you follow up with what you know. So like taking it all in and finding your own mix is the most important.
So
So it's saying like, of course I will, in a way, do it different like than my mom. Yeah, because I've learned from my mom, I don't like that, or maybe I can change that for my children. It's a good thing. I mean, then you work on yourself also. But losing yourself in systems and losing yourself in how you should do it, yeah, and that makes that the child is becoming upset because you don't make up your mind, and what is coming out is then chaos.
So basically, it's not about following what theory or studies nowadays show is correct. For example, when it comes to, I don't know, breastfeeding or co-rooming, it's about in this house, in this body, what gives me more balance.
Yeah.
And then that's the right thing for my child, because doing what the theory says is right, but me feeling out of balance will definitely not produce the right results anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't produce the right results because actually, like when you follow up with what other people say, yeah, and good advice is helpful. But I mean, when you make it your standard, then it's not really you. So the child feels then that kind of distance in it. Yeah, when you and it is not about like that you have to know better. It's about like that your intention is like to do it well. Doing it well in the sake for the safety and the security of your own child there. So it's not rocket science. It's loving your child, and it's also, first of all, loving yourself.
It's like social media these days has turned parenting into a rocket science.
Yeah.
And you guys in your days did it as if it was just the most natural thing in the world. I'm not saying there haven't been mistakes,
Of course.
taking voice out of the kids, or I don't know what the approach was actually, but definitely I can spot certain, errors there.
Yeah.
But it almost like felt easy, and nowadays it feels like overworking.
Yeah, maybe also the hand like because you take it also serious what is on social media. It's an expression of people that want to show their opinion, nothing else.
But why is this opinion so out there nowadays, whereas in 1980 it wasn't?
Because we have now
The social
tools,
media.
the tools to
But I can't
get our
imagine-
opinion out.
I can't imagine you and my mother meeting up and talking about motherhood so much. Nowadays they elaborate so much on every little thing. They've become like so...
They make it rocket science.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not. It's your child. You're the expert of that child, what it needs, and when you open your heart. And the child actually chooses you as the mother. Yeah, because actually like you can offer this child whatever it needs. When you actually feel like that, then you also take the responsibility to follow up in that way.
So it comes down to the parent opening their heart and finding their own.
It's first of all like looking in the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah, and not actually saying like, oh, what does my child want to have today, or what does it need? No, first actually like calming down for yourself. Because actually when you calm down, you're far more better in actually understanding what your child needs. And that's what most people forget. They are the servant of their child in the end. And then they are not actually happy about that, and then there's more frustration, and then we see all kinds of situations.
Lots of parents nowadays say, we're not the parents, we're the servants.
Yeah, but you make yourself a servant. So all your anger is about yourself, that you lose control, and that you let it happen. And that person is only 2 or 3 years old, and you let it happen. So it's not the child's fault. It's you who's giving that kind of child control there.
So what would be your one line advice to shift that struggling parent out of that state?
I'm saying that, say to yourself, I am important. Yeah, what my importance is that I have to be in peace to raise this child.
And give them the message that they are important. Because often we want to teach them how to set limits to others out there in the jungle they will grow up, or how to have a voice.
But
out
when you're
there, but we don't have a voice. We
No.
don't set limits. So
Yeah.
what kind of like...
So when you actually all the time tell your child, but you are important, and you actually follow up with the rules that the child actually makes at that time, of course it's chaos.
Yes.
Yeah, you are important as the mother. How you actually like keep that child safe and loved and cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And that is having limits, and it has putting things into limitation or in between brackets.
Yes, because if you're not practicing what you preach or
Yeah.
aim to teach, that's...
Because like a no is a no, but when the child knows like I'm safe with that and my mom loves me anyway, yeah, then okay, then no.
But often a no is, you get a reaction of, you don't love me, mom. You're a bad mom.
Because actually you say things already when you're angry. You have already a dispute.
If you were a good mom, you would let me sleep with you. And when I become a mom, I'm going to be good and let my child sleep with me.
Yeah.
You hear statements like that from
but
kids.
the statements are already coming from a kind of system that you have developed. Yeah. So you have to go back in the no is no and the yes is yes.
Rewind the tape.
Yeah. And that is finding first of all, as a parent, finding also peace with yourself. You don't do it to punish the child. You do it because you want to keep your child safe and healthy. It has to go in bed and it has to sleep 8 or 9 hours. It's not that you actually say, I want you to sleep. No, that's healthy for you. You can grow up as a healthy person. So it's a kind of authority you give yourself in that way.
And they would pick up on it.
They pick up as if they really
because
are experts in
often
that.
I hear my husband saying, if only once I say bedtime or we're somewhere and I say we're going and I see full conformity without me having to say again and again, let's go, another 5 minutes, no, time's up. And a lot of people end up having conversation with their child.
Yeah, but that's the point. I hear a lot of people talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, too much text.
Too much text. So it's about like you say it one time, you say it maybe another time, and then you stand up and you take them by the hand and you go to bed. You start brushing teeth and not actually explaining it. No, because you have explained that already many times. No, following up.
Where do you draw the line? Some people say pick your battles. So sometimes you let them win because you realize it's not so important.
Pick your but
she liked that one.
I'm not going to pick my battles. I'm not going to battle.
There you go.
Simple as that. Come on. Because when I pick one time, they know next time we can actually try out. No way.
Never a battle.
Never the battle.
The house should never become a battlefield.
And that is a promise to yourself.
Did you, as a mother, never turn the house into a battlefield?
No.
Seriously? Wow.
Not with my children.
Maybe there weren't new age kids.
You have to ask them.
Oh.
No, but they know exactly when I
But
mean
did you
my
seriously think or believe that they were different and therefore the approach was easier on you guys?
No, I think it's the parents that actually don't choose the battles. Yeah.
Back then.
Back then. And I think like that's for a child very comfortable. Do you want to fight with your parents? Actually not.
Okay, but you say that with confidence and I understand it with, let's say, a 6-year-old. But what happens with a 2-year-old when you say, I don't know, let's go toilet and take out the Pampers, and she's crying and screaming for the Pampers. And it's hard to speak through to that child. Because their understanding is limited.
Yeah, but therefore, too much text there. You try to explain it. 2-year-olds actually like things like, oh, my pamper is gone. Yeah, or this is unsafe, or this is strange, or be there. But not actually explaining all the time. You put them on the potty and then you wait. When nothing happens, you take it off.
Yeah, less text. Comes
Less
back
text.
to that.
Yeah,
And in a way, less text is more authority.
of course. Because actually, like when you're there, you are the one who keeps her safe. Yeah, when you're there, you're present. And more you don't have to do. All this explaining and trying to make it comfortable. You become really the servant of your child then.
Mm.
And of course, people are easily trained as pleasers. But you don't have to be the pleaser in educating your child.
Mm.
You are there as the parent, and the parent is not the pleaser.
Loads of theories state that you should let the whole palette of emotions come out from your child throughout the day. So you might experience moments of tantrums, of anger, of frustration, because they're not managing to, I don't know, put the cup into the right cup, whatever. And you're supposed to let it come out, not suppress it, because otherwise, when they express and feel those emotions when they're adults, they will not know how to handle them. So
But
I
when
think
you-
lots of parents allow this tantrum to come out because they've read that hushing it down and tapping out of it is not the right approach.
Mm-hmm.
How do you
When
find
you
that?
learn that you may actually express this in the world, do you really think that you do that not any longer when you're 20? You have learned that you have to express it. So you get all kinds of people that do whatever. Instead of learning that the world is not like that. The world is about that you adjust to this world in a way.
So it could have a boomerang effect and actually promote it in the future instead of...
And that you can, or that they expect that everybody finds that normal from them, because that you can see what's happening. They have this kind of attitude of like, I can do whatever I want. I can express myself.
Okay, but how do you encourage the child expressing their feelings? And that being also the bad ones.
I mean, there are so many triggers in this world that you don't have to trigger your child to express his feelings. Yeah, you can actually like show your own loving feelings, and that you energize then that kind of vibe with them, that they also may do that. When a parent is always polite, always saying to the child, thank you when it has done something. That child will do that in the rest of his life in the same way. Will say thank you to people that help. Yeah. So there are many ways that we can be a beautiful role model, but it's not about like choosing the battles or expressing your feelings, or maybe even on moments that it's not appropriate.
But when the child is angry with us or with something else that happened at school, then...
But you can talk about it, what is happening. Not from how do I solve it, because they have to solve their own problem there. But you can say what happened, what makes you so angry.
So being there instead of
present.
Encouraging that anger to become a waterfall.
And therefore that resilience is also that you turn it actually in a different way. Yeah, so like when you are so angry about that person, that person has then power over you. Yeah, because actually you're stuck in your anger now, and that's not pleasant for you. So you also actually learn them that they can do things differently. And when you constantly are the pleaser, you don't learn them to do it different. Yeah, they learn to stay in that kind of aggressive mode. Well,
or a victim role.
Yeah.
How about when they catch you being angry? Because I'm sure loads of parents, at least I have been caught being angry.
Yeah.
Or,
so when
not
your
behaving...
child points to that, because my son said like on a certain moment to me when I came in, and I said I was like also angry about something, and then he said, Mom, angry people are angry about themselves. And I said, you're right. You're completely right. I lost actually that control there. I was so busy in that kind of...
human happening. Human
Yeah.
role.
But then it's so honest to say, you're right. And thank you for reminding me. Yeah. Because I teach my children always that when you're angry, it's your anger, not from the others.
But then parents shouldn't feel guilty for that coming out in the house.
You when you are angry, you can actually like in that kind of resilience, you can say like, look at me, how angry I am. Yeah, is it nice? No. Am I a friend to myself? No. Yeah. So like turning it, being flexible,
using it as an opportunity to teach.
Yeah.
Lots of parents, lots of theories nowadays say apologize to the child. If you were angry, even towards the child, if anger came out, even bodily anger, like pushing them by the hand, or which is not right, but it can happen at moments of chaos. And they say apologize right away.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So first of all, try to avoid that, to come to that point.
To come to that point, but when and if it happens?
When it happens, then you can be very honest about it. I'm getting so upset because you say that and that angers me. Yeah, it's not the apologize of I shouldn't do that to you. No, we have this conflict, and in the conflict I do things that I don't want to do. Yeah, so it's both carrying the guilt of it, or the reason why it happened.
So,
but also in a very simple way, not actually like constantly apologizing because the child thinks that it has power there.
Yes, because there is that theory of leveling with your children and coming down to their even height, stooping down and saying, I'm so sorry, mom did this because this and this. And sometimes I feel like children get power out of this.
Yeah, I think like, in a way you can say like, that was not okay.
That was not right.
We were both angry and then we do silly things. Yeah, but not actually me being the smaller one than you.
Yes.
Because you give actually that child a kind of idea from like, I have power over you. And is your apology so meant in that way? Is that not actually, oh, I have to make it better?
No, I think anyhow the intention is, do not copy that. That was not nice. And I didn't handle it great. So I would encourage you not to.
You stay actually in that kind of situation. In both you have your part. Like when you do this, I acted like that. Maybe not the right thing to do, but it makes me angry. So you make it also like clear that they have to also work to do there.
How about, I'm going deeper now, how about the way I reacted comes back to a human conditioning that I've had, perhaps from my previous experiences or from being raised by not so patient parents. I'm not saying they're violent parents, but I'm saying not calm parents. Just in case you're watching, I love you, mom and dad. But,
we know.
How do we break that conditioning and mind pattern and, tape that we have in our heads that, especially on moments of imbalance, we fall back on?
Yeah, but first of all, embrace how you are raised in that way. Yeah, so that's your base. So you have your ideas about it. And of course we will actually copy also things from that.
Things you swore you'd never do. And
yeah. So it's not about like looking for the guilty one, and it's not looking for the perfect thing.
No.
It's about like you in your own way, how you see things, that you take yourself serious. It's like you are at that time the parent. So what makes me doing this? So you can say it comes from an old conditioning. Yeah, fine. Do I keep it? No.
How do I not keep it though? That's the hard job, I reckon.
It's not.
How do you let go of that conditioning?
When you recognize it already as a conditioning, it's easy then to choose to keep it or not.
How about parents that don't recognize that conditioning?
They probably don't have the problems you have.
True that. Yes.
They take life as it is.
They take it as it is, perhaps doing old school mistakes, but at least having less domestic chaos.
Yeah, and not having a kind of guilt feeling about it.
Yes. Okay. It's that guilt feeling that is the cloud that surrounds new age parents.
So what kind of conditioning do you keep?